Dear Lord, please let the words that flow from me be in your spirit. Amen. Okay, everyone, we are here. It is Saturday, and we are shooting from the hip, so to speak. I kind of have a general idea of what I want to talk about, and the real ones will watch. The real ones will watch, I know that, because I got a growing group every day. So first off, I want to thank all the subscribers, all the new ones. We're switching it up today. I'm thanking you all first. And now that I've thanked you all, I'm going to just delve right in. I want to talk about not giving up. A lot of people want to be a YouTuber. A lot of people want to create content, but from what I have gathered and what I have learned, because I've been doing this for 10 years, believe it or not, and it's hard to look at my channel and want to believe that I'm worth listening to in this realm, this regard. But it all comes down to having a goal. It's the same thing when it comes to fitness, same thing if you're creating art, same thing for writing, anything. Any sort of creation really does boil down to having a goal, having a mission. My mission is to contemplate. It's the thing that I do every single day. I contemplate God. I think about differing perspectives of how to live. I take all the knowledge I've gained and I compare it to what came before, to see if there's any correlation. What correlates, what doesn't correlate, this, that, the other, what, and from there, from all of that data that I gather and doing all of those comparisons and contrasts and thought experiments, I eventually get to a point where this is what I believe and this is why. And unfortunately, or maybe even fortunately, it's to a point where what I believe in can change based on the information that I get. And at the end of the day, I have to take my real world experiences, a lot of negativity, because my youth, as I like to think of it now, was front loaded with all the challenges that I went through as a kid, from the bullying to the cheating to, whatever. It's just everything that gave me confidence issues and not having my own voice or trusting my intuition. Every challenge I had led to now. So my youth was front loaded, and I like to take those experiences and contrast it with how to be a good person. What does that mean? Because I have seen the most God-fearing person who everyone on the external will say, you're definitely going to heaven, and terrorize their family behind closed doors. I've seen it happen firsthand, and I've seen it to where you're an angel on the outside but a devil behind closed doors. And it's like everyone will be like, oh, I'm so surprised, that let's say something bad happened and that truth come to light. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, I'm so shocked that they were that way. And because their perception changed, they'll suddenly be like, well, that guy's gonna go to hell. And it's like, well, maybe he will, maybe he won't. That's between him and God, and he's gonna learn. He's definitely, that person is gonna learn, and they have learned. Everyone learns. You learn, I learn, we all learn. But having a goal in your content creation is paramount to keeping going. And a lot of people are like, well, I love content creation, I'm gonna do it. Well, okay, it starts off as a hobby, and then you have a video that pulls in a lot of numbers, that performs overly well, and you're like, well, I'm gonna capitalize this momentum and I'm gonna keep going. And then that video flops, and then you become discouraged because your focus went from, I'm gonna put out a good message no matter how many people hear it, or I'm gonna do this because I love it, to suddenly, I am tying my value to how well this video performs. And once that shifts unconsciously, once that shifts, suddenly you'll find yourself being discouraged. Why even try? Why should I even try? And that's where the pitfall comes in. If it's something you really enjoy doing, do it. If it's something that you don't enjoy doing, don't do it. So what if you started your channel off as a gaming channel? That's what I did. My channel was a gaming channel. I have some videos from that time period still up from back in 2019 through 2021. But the most important thing about that is, well, the craziest thing is, I say I've been on YouTube 10 years, and I had over maybe 200 videos at the time when I had deleted my channel. My origins, I've talked about at length, but a quick recap. 2013 created the channel, went through a couple different channel names. I had the idea of doing gameplay and skits with some friends. One moved away like within a month. The other one seemed very disinterested after the other friend moved. So I went through my first rebrand, had it just focused on gameplay. And then once I saw that my count was dwindling, like my performance was terrible, I just became completely discouraged from the types of editing that I was doing, and it really just frustrated me, and I wasn't seeing any sort of growth in any way, shape, or form, or any capacity, and so I just stopped. I wiped my channel in 2018 before starting off again in 2019. So it all boils down to goals. It all boils down to the ability to keep going when things get tough. That requires you to pivot, just like in my beliefs, just like I said. It requires you to pivot and adapt to your current situation and your surroundings. The whole overarching theme of my life has changed. The circumstances of my life have changed as well since those days. I now own a house, and that I wish was haunted instead of having all the issues that it has. And right now is a pretty rough time because it's winter and we live in a wind tunnel essentially. And we're just being bombarded with wind, and we got this Arctic blast coming down, and it's really cold, and it's like, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do to keep everything warm here, and we're doing what we can. It's just tough sometimes, and so yeah, I wish I was dealing with a haunting because I know how to handle that. I handled that in my youth. That was one of my challenges, and now that I'm an expert at it, now I have to deal with this challenge that I have no idea what I'm doing. But that's what growth is. It's pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, and having a goal will help you keep going when things get rough. And we do have an end goal for this house, and what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna take you guys along the way. Right now, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of showing that off because it's winter and we can't really enjoy the property. So we're just focusing on battening down the hatches, trying to keep our energy bill as low as possible while we fix stuff and try to keep this house kind of warm and avoid any other issues. So yeah, it's a lot going on, but it's very rewarding, and I just want you all to know to not give up. Never give up. When things get tough, it is a sign that you could be going in the right direction. It is a sign that you could just be not putting out enough effort, or your content's in a niche that is not popping off, and it's just not interesting enough. There's no singular answer for it, is what I'm trying to say. And what I want you all to know is, coming from the horse's mouth of someone who just suddenly started gaining a little bit of success, is, you know, just keep going. And if you're doing something that you don't find joy in, you should change, because that's going to come across on the screen. So maybe you did become big doing video game content. That's great. But is it really worth doing all that content if you don't enjoy it? You essentially became the architect of your own prison at that point. And what you'll have to do is be able to stomach the idea that you're going to change, and that during that change and that transition, you're going to experience a reduction in performance because you had already built an audience and now you're trying to change an audience. I guess that's why people make separate channels for different sorts of content. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just here sharing my raw experience over the last 10 years. And I can tell you for a fact, if you are not enjoying yourself and what you're doing, it's going to come across and people aren't going to want to watch you. Or maybe they will. Maybe you're just venting about society and everyone needs to hear it. That's something that a lot of people get. And a lot of videos that are popping off lately. However, it's just one of those things where, again, there is no one singular answer for what is happening. But if your goal is to entertain people or to keep people hooked, it's not necessarily a thing that everyone's going to want to tune in and watch a negative person over and over. And my cat needs to get off the dang table. That is a mess. Pardon me. You know you're not supposed to be up there. But, yeah. The title of this video is going to be Never Give Up. And it's okay to stop temporarily. But again, remember, this relates to the video I did the other day about momentum being everything, is if you do stop, prepare to step again, that first, because any lull is stopping, and once you stop, starting again is the hardest thing. I can speak from a very recent example. When I started uploading videos from my car like this, and just anywhere, as it spawned into almost a daily upload thing, I also was writing a novel at the time. I had just started doing lore and world building and everything, and picking up from this idea that I had left shattered and broken, and I haven't touched it in a while. And it's kind of sad as I sit here and think about it, like, yeah, it's kind of sad. What am I doing? I'm spending a lot of time on YouTube because my upload connection out here is trash, and it takes a while for the videos to upload. So instead of just sitting there and touching up on the world that I'm trying to build while this stuff uploads, I sit there and I just mindlessly watch other people's content. I look at my own analytics, and I've suddenly found myself really enraptured in this thing. And again, this whole thing started off last month, exactly 1 month ago, as me creating these videos almost as like a video diary of just me talking about my day-to-day life, contemplating God, talking about whatever experiences I had that day. So that way at the end of the year I could look back and be like, wow, so much has changed. But now I find myself, especially after the rapture video, really focusing on the spiritual aspect of things instead of the human aspect of things. And it's just an interesting way to dissect the content and look at that. So past behaviors, you know, going over the last month, it's only been a month, but I can still have a fresh roadmap that I look back on, and I can see what changed and where it changed. So, you know, it's just interesting. Everything's just interesting. And I say, as I've said before, and I'll say again, I say things are interesting because that's such a neutral way of saying it, and I try to remain in a place of emotional neutrality while I navigate the chaos of this world. Just because what we put out is what we receive, and if I can't be overwhelmingly positive about something, I don't want to be overwhelmingly negative, because when you go through those trials and tribulations, you're just inviting stuff from the other side of the veil of that negativity to come to you. So I do like to talk about that sometimes to tell you only how to fight it, but that's neither here nor there, honestly, guys. It's just me talking about my experiences and trying to share it with you all. But getting back to the main point of the topic, now that we've gone on a long roundabout way, is to just don't give up. Whatever it is that you're doing, if you're not enjoying it, you have to take a step back and find the flaws in it before you start again. Now you can continue momentum in multiple different ways. You can stop what you're doing to take a step back and look, because you're still working on it. That's still work. You're thinking about it. You're contemplating. You're strategizing as to how to navigate and make your process better, more enjoyable, what have you. Just figure out how to make that better. Maybe it is your passion, but your execution is off. Maybe it's one thing versus the other. And maybe I can make these better by utilizing note cards and just writing bullet points down. But again, as I said, at the very beginning of this is me shooting from the absolute hip here. And I often do that. I create 3 bullet points in my head. Sometimes I forget about them. And my memory can be a little bit dodgy sometimes. I can be talking about something and then forget immediately what I was talking about. And that's how you find me making about 1.5 dozen incomplete points in a video where I ramble on for a while. Talk about calling yourself out. But what's important is that you can take a momentary stop, but you never fully give up. That is the most important thing. All you can do is keep trying. Because what is the worst thing that can happen if you keep trying? You never succeed. At least you tried, and that will make you feel better at the end of your life than thinking, well, what could have been had I tried? And that is all I have for today, guys. Again, thank you to all the new subscribers. You guys really make me feel loved, valued, like I'm actually bringing something to the world instead of just talking to the void. It really helps when I'm doing this. But again, I might have to take a step back depending on how things go, because I'm tying my value too much to an uncontrollable factor. And I know I'm more valuable than that. And that is probably the most important thing to know. Know your value. But still, to you all, thank you. You guys make me feel so very loved, and it is a sign that I'm helping in my own special way, whatever way that I can. And it means a lot, because all I like to do is, coming from where I came from, I want to be the person that tells the advice to who I was, what I needed to hear. I want to be that voice for whoever comes across this message. And if it does change you in any way, shape, or form, or make you feel anything, again, like and subscribe as I put in the beginning of the videos. It means a lot. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world. And until the next time, my name is Ken, and I'll see you then.